What are you still salty about? In a 5th grade science test the question was, are there any stars in the solar system? I answered, yes. Teacher marked it wrong. I went up afterwards and said, what about the sun? He said, he meant that all the other stars are not in our solar system and kept it marked wrong. Although I am harboring this for 50 years now. He was all around one of the best teachers I ever had and just passed away a week or so ago. But damn, that should have been marked. Right. When I was in high school someone tagged up the school. They announced there would be a reward for anyone who rats anyone out. I get called in the office and find out I'm suspended for vandalization. I didn't do it and had no idea who. 4 days later I'm allowed to come back to school because they found who actually did it. I just got an apology. On a 4th grade math test we had to make a shape that had only 4 sides. 1 set of parallel lines. And only 1 right angle. There were probably more requirements but I can't remember. I remember almost crying at my desk and spending 20 minutes on that one question while constantly telling my teacher that it wasn't possible but according to her it was. And the next day we went over the answer key. And the answer had 2 right angles. When I was in high school, I was occasionally allowed to drive my family's 3rd car. It had a slow leak in one of the tires. So we were all supposed to check the pressure and put air in it if we needed to. I picked up a friend to go to a movie. And when we came out one tire was completely flat. It wasn't the one with the leak. So I put the spare on and drove home. I got absolute hell from my parents about it. How irresponsible I was to not check it. I'd have to pay for the repair. Why didn't I call roadside assistance? Etc. Took it to get fixed. Repeat the whole lecture as we're dropping it off. And the tech who did it called my mom and told her he'd found a nail in the tire and there was no way I could have seen it coming. She refused to apologize and I still had to pay for it. 20 years ago I had 3 friends show up at my house and when they left my wallet with $80 in it was missing. One of the guys felt bad and gave me $20 back. 3 years after that we are in the BK drive-thru and he whipped out my wallet. Still salty. His FB friend request has just been sitting there for like 2 years. 3 months ago I went on maternity leave. The woman hired to cover for me was being paid $3 more than I'm currently paid. She was going to be kept on as a full-time accounting assistant after I returned. But she couldn't keep up with my daily tasks and completely fucked up several databases that I had to correct when I returned to work the following month. When I asked for a raise, they offered me $50 after telling me how crucial I am to the structure of the company. Needless to say, I'm looking for a new job. In 4th grade English class, EU, I've used the word gross in a random sentence we had to write. The teacher argued that it isn't a real word. I said that it is, that I saw it a few times in video games and movies and she said that they aren't a reliable source. I said to her that I'm gonna show it in the dictionary. But she instead grabbed me by the arm and took me out of the classroom and locked the door. To this day I am still fuming about this. And then she had the nerve to be all chummy when I met her once in a supermarket. Gross. Edit. In both cases it was meant like disgusting. And I know there are even more meanings behind the word. I wonder if she knows by now. I was probably 5 years old visiting my mom at the hospital after she gave birth to my brother and she was given food on a tray which she didn't want so she gave it to me. I put the tray on the table and as I was eating, the nurse takes the tray away from me and throws away the food. That may have my first true instance of anger in my life. I'm 27 now and I'm pissed as I'm writing this haha. Came second in food tech competition. Made a lovely main course then longs to chat biscuits with lemon posset for dessert. I made this dessert because the judges prior to this day told us, don't make a cake for dessert. Guess what won first place? A fucking cake. When I was a freshman in college my mom gave my car to my jailbird brother. Every time he got out she'd scrape a bunch of stuff together for his fresh start. Without ever running it by me. He showed up to my school. Changed the battery for me. And then drove away in it. He didn't tell me his intentions beforehand so it wasn't until then that I caught on. As he drove off I called my mom and she just said, I'll help you with a new one. He moved out of state with that car. Wrecked it within weeks. And has since gone back to jail multiple times. Neither of them have given me a sincere apology to this day. That my 6th grade teacher refused to believe I had no idea the dude sitting behind me was copying my answers on the test. Me and some others in primary school were saying the biggest numbers we knew of. Everybody was saying like 100,000 and a million, and then I'm like, a trillion. And they refused to believe it was a real number. The first day of 8th grade, my best friend and friend group informed me that they would no longer be my friend. To this day, 20 years later, I still don't understand how or why things ended up that way. I can only guess because I was the shy nerd of the group and they were trying to fit in with the cool crowd. Regardless, it was a miserable experience that left me with quite a few trust issues. Kindergarten. Playing with a kid in the sandbox. Was a fairly drizzly day. We're making a castle and there's a puddle a few feet from us. He wants to dig a moat around the castle. And I say sure. So he just kinda jams his hand in the dirt and starts pulling, making way too huge of a channel, which he immediately realizes is going to just destroy our castle. So I say, quick, build a dam to stop the water. He freezes, stares at me with wide eyes and mouth agape before running off. I think this is strange, but okay, whatever. I saved the castle, so I go back to digging when the teacher runs up and grabs me and says to go to timeout. To which I obviously protest and say no, WTF, I didn't do anything. She then immediately says she knows I said a bad word and to not try and lie. To which I am again confused and say I did not. After a few back and forths of her trying to pull me away by the arm and me rather violently resisting, it occurs to her to actually ask what happened. I explain the story. I still remember her face kinda dropping, realizing the other little shit thought I said damn instead of damn, and then immediately ratting on me. Tries to say, well, maybe use a different word, to which I again vehemently protest against because no, that is the correct word for such a situation and that's just how it works and it's his fault for not knowing the word. Etc. etc. Until she finally gives in and explains to the kid that I did not swear, and that no one likes tattletales. I am in my 30s and on the other side of the country, and I still remember this as the very instance in which I gazed upon my fellow man and wept. For he is stupid. So, my dad and mom got divorced before I was 1 and he would randomly come around once every few years to pretend to be a dad for a week or two, then disappear again. This is important to the story. Anyway, I have always sucked at and hated math. We got a homework assignment. I think I was in 1st grade. We were working on 0 times whatever number. I was super excited, because I understood it, and knew I would get all the questions right. The whole worksheet was just questions asking was 0 times another number was. My father made me show him the worksheet when I was finished. And made me change every damn answer because, wow, you're stupid. Did you pay attention at all in class? I explained to the teacher when I turned it in and still got a fucking 0. Asterisk 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 edited to add. Wow. Thank you for all the comments showing so much love and support. I kind of feel like that meme that mentions thinking you have a fairly normal childhood. Until you tell somebody else about it and they freak out and you then realize it wasn't normal at all, haha. Seriously though. To those of you kind-hearted human beings and parents out there who have broken the cycle. You're amazing. You keep doing what you're doing. You're an awesome human being and I love you. To those of you out there who have had similar experiences to this. And to those of you who, like me, have experienced way worse. I feel you. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I know life really fucking sucks sometimes. Okay. A lot of the time for some of us. And I know that there's times where you just want to beat your head against the wall. Because it seems like Groundhog Day. Every day is the same and just horrible. But it does. And will get better. Just remember that the night is always the darkest just before dawn. I found a bongo next to the trash at my old apartment and it was a perfect time capsule of the 90s. It had Grateful Dead stickers, a smiley face holographic sticker, a pot leaf sticker, an alien. I'm telling you, if someone made this as a prop for a movie about the 90s, I would have told them that it's too on the nose. When I came home from work, the first thing my GF's friend said was, "You're welcome." And I was like, what? She had peeled off all of the vintage stickers and now it was just a boring trash bongo. I'm still mad. Don't touch my shit. Had a friend in college borrow my truck when I flew home for a month 1,500 miles away. He agreed to the terms of, don't cross state lines. You only drive it to work and back. And if I find out you did otherwise, it's going to be a big deal. I wasn't home a week and I got a call from our group of friends. He had taken the truck down to Connecticut. Drove drunk. Road raged at someone on the highway and love tapped the back end of a car. The kicker was he backed into his buddy's dad's brand new Lexus and caused $3,000 worth of damage. Needless to say, I flew home the next day. When confronted about it, he basically said, "I don't have the money. It's your problem." So I have my mother, the insurance company, and the Lexus guy's dad all climbing down my throat to get me to fix the problem. The dad with the Lexus called me to say he was going to file a police report if I didn't pay. My mother was screaming about the insurance company dropping me. I went to school for the day. Got back and he vanished. Cleaned out a bunch of shit from the apartment. Stole everybody's things. The one thing that still makes my blood boil is the fact that one of my good friends that lived with us will vehemently back up the shitbag anytime it's brought up. I understand that he didn't screw him over. But just denying it and saying that I need to let bygones be bygones is something I cannot do. Edit. Oh my sweet lord. This is genuinely the first thing I've ever posted that blew up this much. To clarify some stuff up. The reason I said my mom was pissed is because she had warned me. And told me, never let anyone drive your truck. For a day or two we didn't talk, but once all the stuff blew over she wasn't mad. I was only 19 at the time and she chalked it up to a life lesson learned. I called the insurance agency before I flew home. Told them what had happened. Didn't fib. I called the worthless dirtbag that took my truck and told him that if my truck wasn't in front of my apartment I was going to report it as stolen. At this point I wish I would've. The phone call lasted about 15 minutes and consisted of me screaming at him. I've never been one to have any form of anger issues, but I genuinely don't remember anything past the first 3 minutes. Rage blackout is what it felt like. When I landed and got to my apartment, my truck was there and we had the conversation that resulted in, "Yeah, I can't pay it, I'm broke." I had one of my friends there that picked me up from the airport. He held me back. The next day when I got back from school he had jumped the state line with all of his belonging from the apartment. Along with some of my stuff. A couple days after that the insurance agency called and they asked for the full story again. I told them. And they asked for the guy's name and address. I gave them all the information I had and that was all I heard from them. Never got a bill. And my rates never went up. The guy whose dad owned the Lexus got a hold of me to tell me his dad was going to file a police report if I didn't pay up or if I didn't give him my insurance info. I told him the insurance company already knows and I said if that he's going to go after anyone. To go after the dirtbag. Gave him the guy's info. And never heard another thing about it from them. After that transpired the shitbag jumped state lines again. Not sure where he went, but he did try and reach out to me and I promptly told him to fuck himself. And to never get a hold of me again. The friend that tried to back him up when I was pissed about the whole ordeal finally cut the worthless fucker out of his life when some of our other friends came forward about some of the stuff he did with my truck. Drinking and hit and run. And he finally sided with me. I didn't talk to him for a while afterwards, but we eventually did make up.